Okay, continuing on with the test 1 exam review problems. We're on problem number 8. It says solve the equation if possible, if not possible, write no solution. We don't have any parentheses this time to clear, but we do have fractions to clear, so the first thing you'll want to do is find a common denominator. The lowest common denominator in this case happens to be 84. That's the number that both 4, 7, and 6, that all three of these numbers divides evenly into. If you have trouble finding the lowest common denominator when you're trying to clear fractions in an equation, just multiply all three of the denominators together. It won't be your lowest common denominator, but it will be a common denominator that can be used to eliminate the fractions. You'll still get the same answer. So don't worry too much about it being the lowest common denominator here. So what we'll do is we'll multiply every single term by that common denominator. So we're going to multiply everything, both sides, by the LCD of 84. Okay, so 84 times 1/4 is 21. And 84 times 1/7, notice there's a 1 in front of that x, divided by 7, which is just 1/7 x. So 84 times 1/7 x is 12x. And 84 times 5/6 is 70. Now that's a simple equation that you're very comfortable solving because you don't have any more fractions. We want to isolate the x, so let's get rid of the 21. Since it's positive, we will subtract it from both sides. And you get 12x equals 49. Divide everything by 12. And then reduce the fraction if possible. 49/12 does not reduce, so that is the answer. Leave it in fraction form, don't put it in decimal form. Okay, here we're trying to solve the formula for the given variable. So I'm trying to take this equation and get the q by itself. Okay, so here's my equation. And you can do this problem the exact same way that we just did problem number 8, that is, multiply both sides by the common denominator, in this case the only denominator, which is p plus d, or if you put this over 1, you notice that you have a proportion. And remember, when you have a proportion, you can cross multiply. So that's h times the quantity p plus d equals 2q. And we're trying to solve for q, so all we have to do is get rid of the 2 by dividing. So you divide out the 2's and you get h times p plus d all over 2 equals q. And it's okay that the q's on the other side, but if you don't like that, just rewrite it. And if you want to, you can distribute through that h. You don't have to. This is perfectly acceptable. Remember, all it said is to solve the formula for the given variable. The given variable is q. That means to get the q by itself, and we've done that. So that's perfectly fine. Here's another example like that, problem number 10. This time we want to take the area formula, 1/2 b plus hb. Notice this b, capital B, and lowercase b are two different variables, and we want to solve for lowercase b. So the first thing I would do is probably get rid of the fraction, and notice it's just a denominator of 2, so I would multiply everything on the left side of the equals by 2 and everything on the right side of the equals by 2. And that's just to get rid of the fractions because we're not comfortable dealing with fractions all the time. So this is going to be 2a equals 2 times 1/2 is 1b, or just b, and 2 times hb is 2hb. Now, keeping in mind you're trying to solve for lowercase b, little b, I want to get rid of capital B so that I can get this term that has the little b in it by itself. So I'm going to subtract capital B. All right, when I do that, these are not like terms, so I'm just going to bring them down. 2a minus b equals 2hb. All right, keeping in mind, once again, we're trying to solve for little b, so we need to get rid of the 2h. Well, to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide by 2h. And that just leaves me the b equals, and well, what does it equal? Well, it equals 2a minus b divided by 2h. And that's, again, a perfectly fine formula solved for b. And if you wanted to rewrite it like we did in problem 9 to get the b on the left, that's fine too. Okay, we'll start with our word problem. Remember, when you have a word problem, it's always helpful sometimes if we write or draw a picture to represent what we're talking about. And what we have here is a 6-foot board. So we're just going to draw us a little board here. And we know that it's 6 foot long, okay, because they told us that. It's 6 feet. And we want to cut it into 2 pieces. So there's 2 pieces. It didn't say 2 equal pieces, so just 2 pieces. It says the shorter piece is x feet long, so this is going to be x. And then the other piece is 2 feet longer. 2 feet longer is 2 plus 3 times the shorter. Well, the shorter is x, so 3 times that is 3x. Find the lengths of both. So I've defined both pieces, and the total is 6. Remember, total means addition, so your equation is going to be x plus 2 plus 3x equals 6. This is the small piece plus the longer piece equals the total of the board, which is 6 feet. And now that's a pretty straightforward equation to solve. Collect your like terms on the left. You have 3x and 1x is 4x. Bring down the plus 2 equals 6. Get rid of the 2 by subtracting it from both sides. 4x equals 4. Get rid of the 4 by dividing, and x equals 1. Now remember, with word problems, you always have to go back and answer the question. It didn't ask us just to find x, it asked us to find the lengths of both pieces. So when we do that, you'll see that since x is 1, the shorter piece is 1 foot long because it's x. Well, how much is the longer? Well, we could plug in 1 where the x is here, and you would get 2 plus 3 times 1, which is 2 plus 3, or 5 feet. And of course we know 1 plus 5 is 6 feet. So remember always with word problems to go back and answer the question. Don't just stop when you've solved for x. Okay, there's a number of ways to do a discount problem, which is what this is. I'll show you one way, but it's not by any means the only way to solve this problem. Okay, jeans are on sale at the local department store for 15% off. Let's think about that. Well, normally they would be 100%. That's their normal price. 15% off means take off 15%. Well, that leaves you 85%. That's how much you're going to pay for the jeans. That's going to be the sale price. So if you take 85% converted to a decimal and multiply it by x, which is going to represent the original cost of the jeans, and you'll get the sale price. Okay? So let's plug in the original price of the jeans, which is $65. And what is that going to equal? Well, 0.85 times 65 is $55.25. And that's the sale price of the jeans. Again, that's the only one way to do it. There's several ways that you could have done this. You could have found 15% and then subtracted it from the original $65, and that works fine too. You would still get $55.25. This way, you do the subtraction here, and then when you're doing the multiplication, you don't have to do any more. But it's just one other way to do it.